Is Mr. Parson coming? The meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. The Historic Resource Commission is charged with promoting, enhancing, and preserving the character of the historic district as well as landmarks, including the Courthouse Square Historic District. The commission has a quasi-judicial role. The commission hears evidence, determines relevant facts, and then applies the law as it concerns the exterior changes or demolition of any properties as well as new construction in the district. Commission members shall conduct themselves with professionalism and show courtesy to fellow board members, other city representatives, and the public. A board member shall approach disagreements in a positive fashion and refrain from personal criticism of meeting participants and other city representatives. Once a majority of the commission reaches a decision, the minority shall respect and honor the decision. Please remember all public meetings and public hearings are recorded. All comments must be recognized by the chairperson and addressed through the microphone. When speaking to the commission, please stand, speak slowly and clearly into the microphone and state your name and address for the recorded record. Please be respectful to others and refrain from disruptions during the meeting and refrain from conversation with others in the audience, as the microphones are very sensitive and can pick up whispers in the back of the room. Please silence all cell phones. Roll call confirmation of a quorum. Matt Haley.
Here.
Zipporah Clark Baldwin, present. Karen Chin.
Here.
Jeanette Beaudry, absent. We rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, if we please have a moment of silence. We will now consider the minutes from the February 7th, 2023 meeting of the Historic Resource Commission. The minutes include findings of facts and conclusion of law. Commission, are there any corrections?
No,
If not, may I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move that we accept the minutes of the February 7, 2023 HRC meeting.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I will now open discussion regarding the downtown building plaques on behalf of the Historic Resource Commission. Ms. Chin, you have the notes from the last meeting and you have updates since the last meeting. If you'd like to present them at this time, please do so.
Yes, we have contacted two sources. The Sharp Awards here in Burlington have given us an estimate. We are waiting on an estimate from Russell at VH Awards. So at this point, we have several solutions. One would be to decide whether or not we want to use a logo. There's going to be a setup fee for the logo to be done at the beginning of an order. An example is the Arboretum ordered 5 plaques. They wanted to use a logo. Before they got the 5th plaque installed, they decided they wanted to order another logo, and they were charged again for a setup fee, which is about $600. So if you take a look at the $5,000 that are already available for this project, that leaves about, if you take away $600 for the setup fee, then that leaves you with about 4,400 for plaques, which is probably only going to get you anywhere from 3 to 4 plaques potentially. So we have some decisions to make, and we probably need to come up with some solutions and then make a recommendation to the council with regard to what they want to do.
The estimate I got from Russell was back in January at $400 for a 10x14.
Right.
And $200 in shipping.
Was there a setup fee?
He didn't mention it in the thing.
Russell is currently working on this, on an updated, now that he knows what sizes. I asked him to work up for a 9x12, 10x14, and 12x15.
I just asked for a 10x14
Did you? Okay,
because I went with what was downtown already. I went when
that's
I,
pretty much what they were 10x14 when I measured.
And Sharp Awards is presenting a 10x14 at 700, so we are $100 apart. We're not clear on whether or not if they're gonna have a recurring fee for the setup fee,
we mean $100 apart.
$100.
Would from
Okay,
what?
so what they're indicating at Sharp is that there's a setup fee of $600.
Mhm.
But if we only do 10 plats at a time, each time that we do a separate set, it will be an additional $600
For each order.
set up for each order. So what I proposed is that my recommendation is that we go back to the vendors and ask whether or not if we present all of the plats at one time, if they could go ahead on and do the logo. And since we are dealing with BH is saying that we have 100 characters that's going to be included in the price that they've quoted us, which Sharp has indicated that there's not a requirement of characters to be counted, but it's just a setup fee recurring every time we do a separate set. So my solution to that hopefully would be to go back to the vendor Sharp and to find out from BH Trophies whether or not if we can just submit all of the plats at one time and then have them to put the logo on them and then come back later with a description and pay with Sharp. We wouldn't have to pay for characters. With BH, we're going to be counting up to 100 to meet our quota for the price we've been presented. So if we can get all of the plaques in, count the buildings and get them all in at one time, maybe we could save having to do the recurrent fee of $600. And it's
The 100 characters for BH is just what he included. Anything below it is 25 cents off per letter. So if you do 50, only 50 characters, 50 times 25 cents would be off it. So it'd be like $395. So it's not a, you have to do it. He just quoted it
at 100.
because that's based on what's down there. Just so we wouldn't be overcharged. So I don't know, I didn't ask about a logo setup fee per time, but you'd have to, if they're gonna charge a setup fee, they would have like a casting, they'd have to do it all at one time, but us buying the materials for it, you know, we don't have that much money. We'd have to get funds, the rest of them to do it if they were gonna do, if we were gonna try to save money that way, but I mean, he's $300. That one, there's $300 difference in one plaque versus the other for this 10x14.
The plaques are out there on the table. The one from Sharp is the large one that is probably 25 pounds and is brass. The Holly bronze sample that is in the silver tone is actually a dyed material, dyed aluminum. Yeah.
Yeah, if
So
you
it's
went
in-
with, if you went with the regular bronze, it's gonna be more expensive.
Yeah. And Russell at BH is going to give us info on whichever material we want
Okay.
to use. Now, the city of Burlington, and some of the corporations and cemeteries and arboretums have used both materials and plaques. It's a matter of what the city of Graham would like to use. One lady who does a lot of material work in Elon said that she personally would not put, if it was going to be exterior, she would recommend bronze rather than a dyed
Aluminum.
aluminum. Yeah, so it's a matter of what you want to do. So at this point, we'll have to come up with some options and funding and how many buildings. And whether or not you want to use logo. Do you want to do the first 10 and put a logo on it and not put a logo on the second 10? The second 10 could have a text on it that just says the city of Graham honors or recognizes this building and whatever text, built in 1860, formerly the site of a, sporting goods company or whatever it was. So it's a matter of money. It's what materials do you want? The plaques that are already up there have certainly weathered well, but I think they're probably solid bronze. And of course, over time, since the 90s to 2023, the cost of the materials, bronze is going to be certainly more expensive than they were. But the ones that are on the building now certainly have weathered nicely. They look like they were just recently put up. So that's my only concern with the Holly bronze with the dyed material. That's not my call. But to cut costs, you could take that list of 20 buildings that we painfully went through to determine what would be the kind of maybe the best ones to choose to honor, and then decide whether or not how you want to deal with that. In fact, the second group could actually even be a smaller size. I'm sure some of the buildings have a little bit more sentimental value, historical value, maybe architecturally, or materials that was the first of such and such material to be used, or it was very, very important in the development of Graham, or that was a real magnet for a business area or community area. I can't, being an outsider and a newcomer, I can't make that kind of a choice. But if you've got a budget, that might be a solution. And that is to take those buildings, take a look at the list, and let some folks who've been here and understand the growth and the development of the city, let them prioritize and say, okay, for the first 6, we do want to have the crest on there. And then for the remainder of them, go through and perhaps maybe even make a smaller size and just put a fact that the city recommends or recognizes.
But
So we got things to look at.
we have to go back and look at the last meeting. I thought we already voted on using the Holly bronze. I thought we made a motion and we voted on that and to move forward with B&H in the last meeting. So I mean, I'm a little surprised at all the other stuff here because I thought we'd already hashed that out and we already took a vote as a council. I might be wrong, but I thought that's what we did last time.
Let's see, I'm looking for the last minutes. What I recall us actually voting on, and I could be wrong as well, but I recall us voting on the prioritizing of the first 10, and then we grouped another 10 in for 20 to present to the council. The actual material, I thought we left to get some quotes so we could have more than one when we presented our proposal to the council next week.
We had the company out of Virginia and we had the local company and we said we were going with the local one.
I know
So-
we did disregard the one in Virginia because we couldn't
Out of
get,
state.
we couldn't get the sample, or there were several different things that would not be feasible for us. Shipping would probably be a lot more as well. And so our prices were going to be increasing. So I know we went against doing the company in Virginia. As far as the product itself, we have samples here tonight. We have the differences in price.
That's not what I'm talking about. We finalized that last time.
the actual Holly Bronze.
Which if
fine.
y'all want to do something different, that's fine, but we.
No, we
spent-
want to do everything collectively.
but
So
we s-
whatever we've already decided, I don't think we need to go back,
Right.
but we were trying to get some proposals just because, normally when you're doing an estimate or getting proposals, people want to see more than one price. So that's the reason why we're going to be presenting, letting them know this is what we've chosen, since that's what you remember. I'm not going to argue that, but I don't recall it. But if that's what you're saying, do you have anything in your notes? Cameron, do you have anything?
I do too.
Because it's the last meeting, so if we have the minutes from the last meeting, no, Mr. Haley is saying the very last meeting, we decided on Holly Bronze, when he brought the sample. It's not a typed copy. Okay, Okay.
If Matt seems
well,
to think that
if Matt seems to think that, I think he's very
We
clear.
might not have made a
'cause
motion. We said we're gonna go with the
Local company.
Local company.
then what,
And both of these are local companies.
what I
So-
recommend is that we wait and hear from Russell, because I also asked him, if he would also quote us for bronze.
Mr. Haley, how do you feel about that? BH is your same company, is that right?
Right.
So we've gotten a quote from him on the Holly Bronze, but what Ms. Chen is indicating that we've also asked him for a quote for the actual bronze to make a comparisons in the two local companies. Would that be okay if we wait for,
It's not up to me. It's up to the committee, and
well, the
I'm
two
just-
of us are saying we would like to wait, but what are your feelings about that?
I don't know right now. I'm frustrated after the last meeting. We sat here for almost 2 hours discussing this, and I thought it was closed, and we were getting the quotes and going to the council to try to get the 10 so we could get this moving along. And now we're back to the beginning. But if y'all want to look at a different material, that's fine. And if that's what the council wants to do, that's fine. Or the commission.
Do you know any place like the Holly Bronze has been installed? Like where it can go back more than say 40, 50 years, something we can look at just to say, I mean, the durability is actually the bottom line. So if Holly Bronze is going to stand up at a lesser cost, local vendor, as opposed to Sharp, I'm for that. It's not, it's not to spend more money. So I'm for that. I just don't know the durability. They're saying that this material with Sharp is the same material that we have already downtown, which has been there for decades and has proven to be durable. And that's my only concern, is that we don't install something that, 4 to 10 years later, we're trying to redo. So if you think it will
I guess
weather the storm, I'm fine with that.
no,
Yeah.
I'm a little frustrated because I've changed my plans to be here and we're not really doing anything. This could have been done over an email if we were gonna just get more.
And that's your opinion. You have a right to that, but it's very important that we
No,
come
no,
together
no.
as a group.
No, if y'all were gonna go ahead, you already had 2 quotes and have done stuff that was outside of our commission already without talking about it. We didn't need to meet. We're not voting on anything tonight.
The last meeting, we indicated that we were going to try to find another local
No,
vendor.
no, we did not.
What do you remember?
I
Ms.
don't remember. But I recommend that we wait and hear what Russ has to say, because he'll also give us not only sizes for the Holly Bronze, but also cost for bronze. Of course, because of the cost.
He was asked to, he was going to leave at 6,
He has
shortly after
another
6, because
engagement,
he has
yeah.
another engagement. So I don't think he's just leaving abruptly, just for the record. He had already. Yes, well, we don't, well, we appreciate you coming and making your way. So with what we have gathered tonight, Ms. Chen, is that if once Cameron has an opportunity to look at, and the last meeting, Mr. Haley is indicating the last meeting we had voted on the Holly Bronze.
It might have been a January meeting, Cameron.
No, he clearly stated the last meeting. So if that's what we have already said and voted
Then
on,
that's fine. It's
then
a
that's
done
what we
deal.
will go with.
Yeah.
Let the record show. We're not gonna go against what we've already done, but I don't remember that part. I remember us wanting another quote so we could have ample information to present to the council next week, giving them an example of if we go with this finer material as opposed to this material, this is what the cost difference is gonna be. But we definitely want to honor what we've already, if we made a motion and the motion was second and it was unanimously voted on for yes, then we will stand with that. If the record does not indicate that, then we're going to continue with waiting on our quote from BH and providing the information we already have from Sharp. So
Some kind of vote or anything? Not aware of. Note of what? I don't know. I just want to make sure I didn't leave where you guys didn't waste your time if we need to make a vote or something.
no, we're just gonna
Oh.
say that it, based on the last meeting, if it comes back that we have already made a motion
Yeah.
and that it was unanimously voted on for yes, that we're using Holly Bronze, we're gonna stick with that. If the meeting doesn't indicate that, then we're gonna continue to look for the quote. But, that's the only thing. We were just gonna come in to ask permission to present both quotes to the council next week,
Y'all want to go with the bronze, we can have a vote on going with the bronze.
okay?
There's just, we don't remember at the meeting of us talking about, I'm sorry, I've had stuff done in my mouth recently,
Yes, sir, we
understand.
understand.
us looking for another type or doing all this. We had, my recollection is we've took care of that in our last meeting,
Okay.
and then we're back to square one.
So
So
BH is there and when I talked to Russell, he asked me, I mentioned about bronze and about the durability. And he said, well, it could be done in bronze, but he said, of course, it's gonna be more expensive. Well, since he specifically said that, and I did ask him if he would find out what his manufacturer's cost would be for bronze, I think we would be not doing a very good service by ignoring what the cost for bronze would be. When the industry is saying that depending on what you use the Holly Bronze tone for, it might be fine for maybe a portico or something that was outside but was shielded from the weather or
Mhm.
for inside. So if we had an opportunity to do a bronze, which we didn't know when you got the quote and provided the information that we needed. So that, to me, that's the only odd sticking point, so how much more would it be with these sizes for bronze as opposed to the Holly Bronze?
And that is the only reason we went outside of the initial BH quote, because we didn't have another material to compare it
About the
to.
durability.
So the
Yeah.
durability is what we were looking for. And so they're clearly saying that the bronze is going to be a longer lasting and the durability is going to be pretty much guaranteed. So that's the only reason we went out to get another quote to see what is bronze costing us today. Because surely we knew the prices had raised, as Ms. Chen indicated earlier. But if it finds in the last minutes that we have already adopted the Holly Bronze, then we will stand with that. We will not go back on our word, but I don't recall that, and I apologize for that. I don't have minutes in front of me, so I don't have anything to refer
I
to.
don't, if there's no motion, I mean, they can make a motion to amend it. Yeah,
So I would like to make a motion at this time. I would like for a motion to be made at this time that we amend this and that we give Cameron opportunity to look at the previous meeting to determine whether or not if we have already voted and adopted the Holly Bronze, and let it be known that if we have, then we will stand with that and we will stick with that. Jeanette was also assigned another duty, which would have been brought back to this meeting, some information about several of the sets of buildings that were on our list of, two lists of 10s. And so we don't have that tonight either. But we're not going to wait because there are citizens that's also involved that have history about the buildings that would like to project some opinion. So my thing is what I mentioned to Ms. Chin is that I'm not going to get too concerned about the description if we can just get the cost down, nestled down. And then what we would do, again, I'm proposing that if we go to the manufacturer and say, okay, we have 36 buildings and we would like to have 36 plats with the logo printed all at one time. Will you allow us to come back and then make the descriptions for the plats? What is the difference in cost? Or will it be an additional cost? Those are the kind of questions we were looking to get answered once we get our second quote. So we will amend that for now, and it will not take another meeting to determine where we are, because once that fact comes back from the last meeting, we will accept it and we will move forward with getting this resolved. So we can go to the council next week and say, this is what we have chosen. This is what we are proposing. And these are the monies that we're asking to be allocated, with including the monies that was already left by the Historic Society, which was the $5,000. So with that having been said, we will amend the actual material at this time, and then we will move for a motion for the amendment. May I have a motion to amend?
I move that we amend the facility to add a waiting to find out whether or not we get,
So what exactly are y'all making?
So Mr. Haley,
So basically what we're trying to figure out here is one of the last meetings that we approved or had a motion and second for the Holly Bronze, correct?
yes.
What you're wanting to amend right now is the possibility of looking at other options besides Holly Bronze. What you're basically saying right now is you're amending the time for me to go back and look at it.
No, we're not amending the time for you to go back and look at it. What we're stating is that because we have a member that has stated that we have already voted that we take the Holly Bronze.
I'm saying, I think we did.
The
I don't,
BH,
I'm
yeah.
not sure we did. I just thought we made a decision for the Holly Bronze, and that's why if it's a motion that we did that, then we need to make sure that whatever, if we're changing past, that it's done
Yes.
correctly.
That's exactly right. I agree.
But I don't know if there's really made right now, due to the fact that it's completely unknown, I guess.
Well, what we'll do, we'll table it. Maybe the amendment is the word, the operative word that's messing everything to make it clear. So what we will do, we will table deciding tonight about the material until we are given proof or not proven whether or not if we have already adopted the Holly Bronze as the material that we would be using. So we'll just table the actual bronze, and whether or not if we even want to present the bronze to the council for an example of material. Or could we just say we gonna go with the Holly Bronze and then present the bronze? It's not gonna make a sense. So we're gonna table the material and have you give you opportunity to look at the minutes to determine whether or not if we've already voted and said, yes, this is what we're using. Yes, not,
The whole plat discussion, and no, now, whole discussion, whole agenda item.
Not,
side of it. So, I guess I'm trying to, because I'm in kind of the same boat, you know, it's like,
Fine.
we're keep on adding extra layers to a lot of this process. And understandably, I mean, you're trying to get the best calls for your money here, and I can understand that as well, so, but it's adding a little bit of confusion, I guess, on all of our behalf, so it's a little bit difficult, so maybe it is just best that we just table this discussion, figure out where we're at, and kind of go from there, because it's, all right, did we approve Holly Bronze?
okay, so let me go back and make the record clear. What I'm saying as the chair is that we're going to tonight not decide on the actual material because one of the members is indicating that we have already voted. Motion was carried, unanimously voted on that we would use Holly Bronze. I'm stating that if we do not find that to be fact, then we're going to continue to petition for monies for the bronze. Because Ms. Chin has done her research and has been stated that the bronze is going to have more durability, it's going to have more weatherization behind the product, and they are guaranteeing it. And what we have in place on some buildings indicates that that is true. That is what I am stating tonight. And that's, and once you contact me back, I will send the email, or you can send the email indicating that this is the product. That shouldn't take between now and next Tuesday, but that's when we're going to the council for the monies. So between today on Tuesday and maybe hopefully by tomorrow, we will have that fact from BH. And then we will be able to just move forward, and we will send out the email that Cameron looked at the video. There is no facts stating that we have already voted on this and adopted the Holly Bronze, and that we can move forward with BH. Or the email should just simply say that that it was voted on, we did adopt it, we did make the motion was carried, second and carried, and all unanimously voted on. Then we're going to stick with that. That is what I'm indicating that we do going forth. Is there any other discussion?
I just don't see how it could be done tonight, I
No,
guess.
no, I know, but like in
Yeah.
the future, like. for
And
the
that's
next
what I
meeting.
was mentioning earlier, is that, I mean, it can be, but it's figuring
That
out.
just
whether
needs
or
to
not
be
it's
tabled
whether or
until you
not
get
it's
more
right.
info.
So I've been trying to be helpful.
Yeah, you've been very helpful, but the only thing we're going to do tonight seems like is just wait for you to review the last minutes. Because if what Mr. Haley has stated that we've already voted on it and we've already said, yes, this is it, then we don't need to go back on our word because the whole board was here. The 4 members that are now on the board were all present. So if we already have everybody's vote, we don't want to change that. We want to honor that.
And I'm not stating that's fact. I'm saying that's what I remember from the meeting, which is why I gave y'all the Holly Bronze and sent the contact information through emails to contact B&H.
And we appreciate all that, all of your work, all your due diligence, everything has been taken. And we have contacted BH. And I don't know if there's a difference in his pricing. The only difference is going to be with the material as opposed to the Holly Bronze, what's going to be for the bronze.
Right.
And that's the only thing we're waiting on. As far as if we have already accepted this Holly Bronze, then we're going to stick with it. Cameron, would you be able to get us that information, say by tomorrow?
Try my best to.
And so once Cameron gets that information back, we'll just send the email out and we'll say, yes, Holly Bronze is what we voted on, or no, we did not vote on Holly Bronze, and we will move forward with getting another quote from BH on the actual bronze. That understood? Everybody agree?
Sounds good.
All okay, so if we're all in agreement tonight, then is there any other discussion about the plaques? Any other discussion, Mr. Haley? If there's not any other discussion, then what we will do now, we will move next to hear updates from the staff.
facade grant being sent in for reimbursement, that's about it. So the Bernie's is sent in an initial period, 130 North Main Street, and so on. So those two have come in, so I think there's only two more left on the facade grant, and I think there's a couple more with business communication. That's all on that.
And you said Bernie's for reimbursement. They spent the money and then they need us to reimburse them for the facade grant.
We don't, so you've already promised, like, so you've already, it's all internal. I'm just saying that the project of this is finished. It's all.
Perfect. Where does anyone know the update for Miracle Metals? Did they make another application for the doors?
I haven't had anything. So, I mean, they have until, was it
June.
April 1st or?
Was it May 1st?
To get it in, and so I'll probably follow up early April. And that's the May 1st for requested extension to June 1st. So if I don't hear anything by, May 1st, or June 1st, then it's just money that.
And are we clear whether or not if that money is not used, that it does come back? Like say, instead of us with the 15,000, we'd have 20. Is that the way it work or do we lose it?
It goes back into the general.
It goes back, so we don't keep it. So
It's reestablished.
with the next 15.
Well, no, your original 15 is then, once the new budget's put out, is put that 15. So just because they don't use the funds in the last budget year, that they get rolled over into this budget for it. So you just have that money that's already allocated to the budget pushed over. So that just rolls over into money that wasn't spent.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. Any questions about the staff report? Okay, if there aren't any, then we will now hear updates from the city council from Councilman Parsons.
To run that, what you're gonna put on them through the museum. People that really know Graham, you got some great.
There's a committee, from what I understand, Councilman Parson, that's already gathering and getting information about the buildings. And my stance on that is that the description part, we can leave it with them if that's what they want to do. We just want to get our budget, so we will know. Right. And then we can,
You guys will have the final say what's on there, you can have to vote to approve it.
yes,
To pull those resources from the people that know.
yes, yes,
People like Russell Compton, Jeanette, Chuck, everybody on the, has a history there.
pretty much no. Yeah.
She has resources there.
Yes.
Don't really have it in chamber to research.
So if we can just get the budget, the proposal for the budget, so we can present to the council next week. So we can know if BH is going to charge us X, Y, Z. Sharp has already stated that they don't care about characters. They just count on material. So whatever material. So we can get BH for their final quote on how they want to do it. Once we get our budget approved and the monies that we know are going to be allocated to us, I don't think we could have them, we don't want to rush them with the descriptions, but we probably would come back the next meeting and say, okay, we would need the descriptions by this date. And then we also would need to ask the council, when we meet with you guys, who is going to be in charge of getting the installments? Will we just hand that over to Public Works, or the council would have to assign that? Because I don't think, and we need purchase orders. There's a lot of different steps that we haven't looked at yet that will have to take place. And the shipping is going to come back to Town Hall in the attention of Aaron or Megan. So I've already checked on that part, and we would have to have a purchase order. So I've been told that we would have to have a purchase order in place. So what we're coming next week is for money. And then we will make a deadline the next meeting for the actual descriptions to be turned in by a certain date.
I don't know, just for fact that I would imagine that it's gonna be fairly significant amount of money. It may be a request for you to put in for the budget year coming up in July.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to get it. Yes.
It's not like there's money now to say.
Oh,
okay,
Right.
I understand
No,
that.
the only
Right.
money we know that we have for sure is the 5,000.
Right.
So that's why we're trying to get in before you guys go to in your fiscal year. And so we were hoping that if we get in next week, we would have, some type of opportunity to say, okay, this is what it is. Then we give them a deadline as far as the descriptions and let them, the citizens and the people that know the history, Jeanette, our member being one of those, and hopefully they can all come together collectively. But the next meeting, we'll be looking at nothing but setting a deadline for descriptions to come back.
A lot of that research has already been done. It's hard to.
Yeah. I've got draft here of
Hmm.
text that could go,
Yeah.
basically the drafts pretty much go with the kind of format that is on the existing plaque. If they had a date and maybe built by or its purpose.
The only thing I remember we said we would exclude is the addresses. Now, whether or not if the citizens and the committee
Street addresses have
Would,
changed over time.
would approve of that, that's fine, but that's what the board, I know that's what we decided, that we would go without addresses and leave the characters for the actual description. Yes, because even with yes. Yeah, because some of the addresses are combined now. So we've come across a lot of different things, and we appreciate everybody's due diligence in helping to get this done. And we will collectively move forward and respect whatever's already in place. And we would just wait for the final from Mr. Cameron. And then once we do that, yes, sir, Mr. Parson.
But so we're now we officially for person commission.
Yes, we had one person that was,
Officially. So
What-
there's still vacancies up and open, so.
Now they can operate.
with 3. Yes,
There's the other people have.
There's a bid, but he hasn't taken his oath yet.
he hasn't taken his oath, and then we have 2 applications. And I don't know if they've been approved or not. What is, we have his name. Or,
It was a while back.
Yeah, okay.
Originally, I think Miss Renee had slid him into another, or somehow he got pushed into another, commission or board when he was supposed to be on this one, so I think it's something you voted on a while back that's just kind of.
I mean, last time it was sports commission or something like that, because you get to.
what is that, Mr. Parson? I saw his name. So, I don't know, but they have this application. They're just waiting, and it's been approved. They're just waiting for him to come in and take the oath. And I thought that was going to be done by this meeting, but hopefully he will come next month and be a part of us. And then we may even have 2 other candidates that also would have completed the application and hopefully approved and sworn in. And yes, and then they have to come, the application would come to you guys, then you would approve it. And then once we know that, then they get sworn in. Remember his name? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been a couple of months since he was approved. Oh, she has it, yeah. Oh, yeah, she has it, yes. Yeah, so we kind of know that everything checks out. She's already approved it. Okay, so Mr. Parson, was there anything else from you? Okay, if there's not anything else, if I can have let me see, make sure we're not skipping anything. I have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Motion has been properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned at 7:44 PM. 6:44 PM. Thank you, guys.